pot is only filled up till here, pot is only full till here, and you cover it all around here, and here is exposed, but there's no food over here, because the food only goes till here, it's still considered covered. You cover the top. You cover the top. Is this getting complicated? Okay, let's keep it simple for now. I'm going ready to like more details before you get into the basics. You're not allowed to. The definition of insulating means when you insulate it completely, when it's completely wrapped around, when it's like this. And it's like this. They're watching it, right? So if it's totally wrapped around, if it's like this, it's loose. This is not called insulating. So if you take something, this is also very, very small. Even if it was big, something larger, and it overlaps, there's nothing over here, overlaps completely, it doesn't matter because it has to be flush with, yeah, whatever. Even if it's like this is okay. This is okay. They're watching. This is not called insulating because you understand why? The space. The space.
It's not compressing.
Huh?
It's not like
Correct.
compressing.
Insulating means when it's like this.
The word, yeah.
Right. If it's just hanging
Oh, that's the word for it.
flush.
Right. Was it insulation?
Oh, the general Hatmana.
Yeah. You said a word that I wanted. It was like insulating. Was it insulating?
Hatmana.
I think it was.
Oh, the general words for what it is,
Yeah.
what the prohibition is
Yeah.
called Hatmana, insulating. Yeah.
Yes.
This is called Hatmana. Yeah.
Very good.
Hatmana. Right. Now we don't mean literally. I mean, if you wrap it around and it's just like a drop away, that doesn't help. We mean reasonable. We mean that it's like hanging like this. But if it's around it, it doesn't help just because it's moved it away a drop, like a millimeter or something. We don't mean that. Okay, so we do that, it's not a problem. So before Shabbos, so my question to you is now, are you allowed before Shabbos to take a pot food, and wrap it with a towel? If someone was to ask you a question, can I take a pot of hot food before Shabbos and wrap it up with a towel? Very well. Am I allowed to do that? What would you say?
No.
You would say no, right?
Right. Not
Really?
shy. Not shy.
You say in Hebrew?
Yeah.
אם מותר לקח סיר עם האוכל, קודם Shabbos, what means to wrap it around with a towel. לקח סיר מהתנור, מכירה, קודם Shabbos, ולהטמין, לכסות טוב, קודם Shabbos. האם זה מותר?
What? It's the word that.
Yeah, but
מותר?
Yeah, I thought this was hers.
Okay, so we have an answer that it's allowed. So who said over here you're not allowed?
no, yes.
Yeah, that's what she's no one's here.
You're saying you're not allowed?
It's just on the side though, it's not on the top also.
No, it's around it. So
The
the
whole-
top, all around. Are you allowed? Yeah? You getting the question? Are you allowed?
No.
Why? We said you're not allowed? Again, can you take a pot off the blech before Shabbos? Listen carefully to the question. Can I take a pot off the blech before Shabbos? And take the pot, huh?
You do anything, you can find it before Shabbos. What?
Okay. You're right, but it's not okay.
It's
Let's get everyone on board here. Can I take a pot before Shabbos off the blech? Listen carefully to the question. Take a pot off the blech and then wrapping it with towels to keep it hot. Am I allowed to do that before Shabbos? It's a yes or no question. What?
like that, shower של שבת.
Huh?
זה כמו שם את השעון של שבת.
Hmm?
זה כמו שם את השעון של שבת.
שעון שבת.
אני יודעים, מה זה הקשר של שבת עם עכשיו?
לא, כמו את שמת משהו כדי לשמור את
Thank you.
החם. Because you're original?
Thank you.
לכבול שבת. עד כאן משהו כדי לשמור את החם לפני שבת.
Yeah,
בשבת. וגם עם הטיימר, את כמו שומרת את החם.
זה לא קשור עכשיו, שעון שבת. מדברים עכשיו, לוקחים סיר מהקירה, קודם שבת, ומכסים זה טוב עם שמחות, עם זה טאוס, מכסים זה, זה מדברים, זה לא נגיע עכשיו, שעון שבת, החתנות.
לא, אבל זה כמו,
It's for me?
את שומרת את החם.
Huh?
זה כמו לשמור את החם.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let me explain to everyone. I want to get everyone together over here. I said before that you cannot take, so you said it was right, but you said, Kadem Shabbat, before Shabbos you can do anything. No, you can't do anything before Shabbos. If you're taking the pot off the blech before Shabbos and you're wrapping it, that's what I asked now. That's okay. I said before, if you're leaving it on the blech, it's on the fire, and you're wrapping it, then you're not allowed. And then I said, but if you take it off the blech and you wrap it, then it's okay. Understand?
Yes.
No. Is that, you understand English? You don't understand English at all, or just have to speak slower? To live in English, like.
גם בכלל וגם זה דבר.
Okay, so I'll just speak a little slower. If I want to speak everyone and everyone should understand, excuse me. What I'm saying is, you take the pot off the oven, off the kira, off the stove before Shabbos. You take the pot off the stove before Shabbos. It's not on the fire anymore. It's a lot of ish. Now you could wrap it. You can wrap it up because it's not on the stove. It's not on the kira. But if it's still on the kira, on the blech, of course, I mean, you put towels on a fire. If the pot is on the blech, let's say, the pot is on the blech, and I want to wrap it up very well while it's on the blech, that's not allowed. Okay? Now it's clear? Okay, you have to, huh?
What's the right way to get hot on fire?
Take off. No, so we discussed already in other class how to take. We're discussing about wrapping.
Oh.
What we're discussing now is wrapping. That's what we're going to do now. Everyone has the review sheet? Is it? You get everyone? Should be.
Yeah.
I made 5. I didn't think we need so many. So we're missing 1. Okay, so I might.
I gave you your master bag, so if you have
Yeah.
in front of you, then.
Do we have an extra one? Oh, 1 second. We do have an extra one here. Yeah, so we have an extra from the last one. 1 second. This is the master one. Perfect. Okay, we do have an extra one. Good. Yeah. You don't need it?
Yeah.
You just listen. Okay, so everyone else has one, right? Everyone has? You have a review?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, question 15. You ready? Now this will go easier. 15. Can one wrap? Yeah? Yeah, can one wrap a pot of hot food in a towel? A, before Shabbos, on Shabbos. Not on the blech. Wrap a pot of hot food in a towel. Before Shabbos?
Yeah.
Before Shabbos, yes.
Yes. On Shabbos?
No.
That's simple enough?
Yes.
It's good if it's simple, right?
Yeah.
16. Can one wrap a pot, you following? Yeah? Can one wrap a pot of hot food in a towel on the blech?
What?
Before, wrap a pot of food in a towel on the blech. Before Shabbos?
Hey,
Before Shabbos?
no.
No, even if it's before Shabbos, it's no. Yeah? On Shabbos?
No.
No.
It's also no. Yeah? Yeah? 17. Okay, following? if one wraps, if 17, if one wraps a pot of hot food in a towel before Shabbos, okay, listen carefully. Wraps a pot of food, hot food in a towel before Shabbos. Now, we already said before that you're allowed to do it, right?
Yeah.
No question yet.
Does it depend on if you can feel the heat from the towel?
No.
Okay,
No, that was a practical suggestion if you to keep it hot.
thank you.
I would give a practical suggestion. You want to keep it hot, put enough towels they can't feel any heat. And that's not no logic ramifications. It's just being practical to keep the food hot.
See,
Hold on 1 second. No, it's not ABC. Each one is a question for itself.
yeah, what, how?
No, 1 second. They're all separate questions. It's ABC on 3 separate questions. If one wraps a pot of hot food in a towel before Shabbos, right? So let's confirm. It's okay to wrap a pot of hot food in a towel before Shabbos. Now you did it, and you did what you did was okay. Now comes A. Now is the question: could you add another towel?
No. No,
Could you add another towel on it?
Put it over, yeah.
You want to add another towel because, like someone said before,
Unless it's the.
no. You wrapped it
Yeah.
very well before Shabbos off the breast, which you're allowed to do. Now comes Shabbos, and like we said before, you put your hand in, you feel heat. You want to add another towel to
No,
really.
you cannot.
Are you allowed to do that?
no.
Can you help us out?
No, it's heat.
You're always so helpful.
Oh, but I didn't want to.
You're reapplying. Is it no? Is it yes?
You don't have it in your notes?
Is
Can
it
you see
yes?
that?
Yes.
Hmm?
But you're applying again, you're putting another towel in here.
Maybe I just didn't mention it. I thought I mentioned it. I did. Answer is yes. Yeah. Answer is yes. What about B? If towel fell off, can he return it?
Yes.
Yes. Can one remove the towel to take off food and cover again?
Yes.
Yes. Everything is yes. Once it was wrapped before Shabbos, you take it off, put it out. You don't need conditions. It's not like the blech,
I remember.
no problem. 18. If one transfers a pot of hot food from one pot to another, can he wrap it in a towel?
Yes. No.
Answer is yes. Yes.
Yes, oh, yes.
Once you're ready to transfer it to another pot, you're allowed to wrap it on Shabbos. Before Shabbos, you could always wrap it, but even on Shabbos, right? So we have to make it clear we're talking about on Shabbos. We're talking about on Shabbos because before Shabbos, you could just wrap. You could just take a pot off the fire and just wrap it the way it is. So we're talking about even on Shabbos. Make that clear in question 18. Is it the same if he transfers back to the first pot?
After being wrapped in a towel?
No. We're saying you can take the pot, pour it into another pot, and wrap it in the other pot. We just said that. Now, what about if he transfers back to the first pot? Could he also wrap it? Could you take that pot and wrap it up when you transfer it back to the original pot it was in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Answer is yeah.
Would the original pot become a cliche thing or a cliche, or does it
Yeah.
maintain being a cliche?
It doesn't matter. Cliche is only traditional, and you want to put something in that's going to cook.
Oh, okay.
We're not discussing cooking over here, so it's a different discussion.
Thank you.
It just moving often.
Just the fact that it was transferred to another pot, you're allowed to wrap it. It's irrelevant. You put it back to the first pot because the reason is because usually people wrap things in the original pot. If you want it to stay hot, you're not going to transfer it to another pot because it cools off when you transfer it. So they only made it the decree of transferring when it's in the original pot. Because that's how people usually wrap things in the original pot when they want to keep it hot. So once it's already transferred, people don't usually wrap it that way. So the decree of wrapping was only when it's in the original pot.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So another example that's not on the sheet, but that is, could one insulate, take a pot or a bottle of cold liquid and wrap it up on Shabbos?
Cold liquid?
Cold liquid, yeah.
You want for the baby bottle?
That's really, I mean. Okay, we have it spelled out. I have a specific example in question 19, but I was asking in general, could someone insulate cold liquid in a towel? Take cold liquid, you want to keep it cold, and wrap it in a towel on Shabbos. Are you allowed to do that?
Yes.
Yes. So now let's see question 19. Can one put a baby bottle with cold liquid in hot water, not over the fire?
Yes.
Not okay, but you're insulating it. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Could someone take cold liquid and wrap it in a towel and put it on top of a pot?
No,
No.
only hot.
Oh, cold and hot.
Take a cold. Okay, again, take a bottle of cold liquid, wrap it up in a towel, and put it on top of a pot that's on the blood. Where there's heat over there, but it's not hot enough. It's not going to come Yatziledis, so it's not going to become Bishul.
Yeah.
But there is heat over there where it's going to get warm.
Is that opinions? The same opinion of like.
No, there's no opinions. It's
I think yes.
so if you wrap it, let's go back to the situation. If you wrap a pot of hot food in a towel before Shabbos and you put it on top of a blood, that's prohibited. Why? Because you're putting it in an insulation that intensifies the material because it's on the fire. Even something that's cold, you're not allowed to wrap even before Shabbos. If you're insulating it in a material that intensifies the heat, then even cold, you're not allowed to insulate, even though it's before Shabbos. So even before Shabbos, you cannot take something that's cold and insulate it and put it in a place where put it in a heat intensifying material. That means even if it's not going to be, now there could be another, this is getting a little complicated because there could be another issue which is bishul, it's anyways a problem. So I just want to make it clear. We're discussing here, so you don't get confused with bishul. Discussing here, there's no issue of bishul, right? Okay, so let me give another example to make it easier for you to understand. This is a cup of cold water, and I have here a blech. I have a pot over here. There's a pot, yeah. It's a cup of cold water, and on Shabbos, I want to put it here, and it's the heat over here is not strong. It's not going to become yatsi like this, right? But there is heat coming up. There's heat rising. It's not going to become yatsi like this, okay? Right? Could I not in a towel?
No, I'm saying yeah. So yeah, you can't.
You
It's
could.
allowed. It's allowed.
Right, but if I wrap it, then it's not allowed.
Why?
Even though there's no problem, there's no bishul over here. But because it's wrapped in a towel,
Only
so
one way to.
what happens is the combination of the fire and the material, it turns this material into heat intensifying material. We learned before Shabbos I cannot wrap hot food on the fire,
Okay.
and because it's a heat intensifying material, that was hot food. The prohibition of not insulating before Shabbos, even before Shabbos, in a heat intensifying material is both for hot and cold. No difference. It's just cold is not usually practical. You don't usually do it. But the prohibition is the same for hot and cold if you're using material that intensifies the heat.
What kind of material?
Now, okay, now a towel is not a heat intensifying material, but because of the fire, the heat that's coming underneath, it turns the material into heat intensifying material. So now, even though it's cold, but because you wrapped it and you put it on top of a pot, even though it can't become yatzilendus, it only do with cooking, it has to do with there is heat rising up.
Only one way, and you're like it's not
Right.
escaping the.
Exactly, and it's so the heat is coming up into the material, into the
Right.
towel. So the towel becomes a heat intensifying material, and now it's prohibited even before Shabbos. So even before Shabbos, you cannot take a pot with cold liquid, but it's not practical who would do it, but whatever. If you wrap, so even cold to wrap before Shabbos and put it on a blech, you're not allowed. Now, I kept on emphasizing that it's in a place that it can't become yatziledis, because if a place that could cook, you're not allowed to keep water on the fire before Shabbos if it's not Yatziledis, unless it's going to become Yatziledis before Shabbos comes in. Like we spoke about plugging in the urn before Shabbos, you have to make sure the water is cooked to Yatziledis before Shabbos. So,
Like the hot water with.
right, it has to be cooked Yatziledis, right.
Everything has
It has to be cooked Yatziledis before Shabbos. So if it's in a place where it could come Yatziledis, and it's not Yatziledis before Shabbos, it's anyways prohibited because you have to make sure it's cooked Yatziledis before Shabbos.
Even
So
after
it's-
Shabbos.
Huh?
Even after Shabbos, like the urn, you can't even put water in to cook it itself.
What do you mean even after Shabbos? Even in Shabbos?
No, I'm saying, let's say with the urn itself, you also can't pour cold water into the urn
On Shabbos.
even before then. Like there's, you know how you put it on top, it's like a silver thing, it's like a hot, like for coffee, whatever it is.
You want to add hot water to the
So
hot
cold
water?
water makes only cold water in my house, and that's how it, if there's no more like water, like just fill it up and that's cooking itself too.
Right, so you're saying you cannot
Which is
fill
cold,
up the
yeah.
hot water right before Shabbos with cold water.
Yeah,
That's what we're saying, right? Unless it's Yatsi Ledis before Shabbos.
so it's mostly the whole thing
If you plugged it in right before Shabbos and it wasn't Yatsi Ledis, then you can't really use the water. It has to be Yatsi Ledis before Shabbos. So like a half an hour, 45 minutes before Shabbos, that's when you have to prepare the urn. Okay. Okay. So we gotta do 19, right? Okay, look at 19 carefully. Can one put a baby bottle with, for example, a baby bottle with cold liquid, any bottle with cold liquid, in hot water? You're putting it into a pot of hot water because it's too cold for the baby, and you're doing it not over the fire.
Yes.
It's not over the fire,
Is it the same as like insulating it with the towel over the fire?
but it's not over the fire. It's just in hot water. First of all, is this called insulating?
No.
So if I take a closed bottle with liquid or anything, cold or hot, and I stick it into hot water, first let's determine, is this called insulating?
No.
Like what is it? If I take a pot and I wrap it, we have to understand the facts over here first. I take a pot and I wrap it with a towel. This is called insulating. Then we have a discussion. Is it allowed? Is it not allowed? We have to know what it is. It's called insulating. If I take a pot, or this case, no, it's not a pot. It has to be a closed bottle, a baby bottle or a jar with liquid, and I stick it into hot water.
A
What
bowl of
I'm
hot
asking
water.
is-
Let's say a bowl of hot water.
A bowl,
And it's cold liquid, a bowl of hot water, and you put in
Yeah.
the baby
a
bottle.
closed,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because I can,
warming up for the baby.
Right,
you
right.
wanna, like,
and you're sticking it into hot water. What I'm asking now, I'm asking halach, I'm asking fact. Does this carry definition of insulating?
No.
I'm not insulating with a towel. I'm putting it into hot water. Is this called insulating?
No.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. Why not? You have in Shulchan many examples of insulating. You know, one of the examples in insulating before Shabbos that you're not allowed is salt. Salt is a heat intensifying material. You know that? Salt. So I'm not allowed to take a pot before Shabbos. It's not practical. I'm just trying to bring out the point. You take a pot before Shabbos, have a big box full of salt, and take the pot and stick it into a pot of salt, be covered by salt. That's called insulating. Insulating is not just a towel. We used to, because practically, how we do insulate these days, use a towel. Insulating could be with salt also, it could be with other material. So if you have a baby bottle sitting in hot water, that's called insulating. Okay, so now we just determined we're not discussing yet, is it usher or mutter? You following also, or is it too fast in English? Huh? Yeah, what? So when you put a baby bottle in hot water, that is insulating. I'm not saying it's allowed or not allowed. It's called insulating. Okay, now we could discuss, is this permitted or not? So is it permitted?
Yes, you like wrapping something in a
How
towel
come?
on the fire?
Because you're it's like wrapping a pot not over the fire.
Yeah.
But it's hot water. You're not allowed to insulate in a heat intensifying material. we said before that you cannot wrap in heat intensive, even cold liquid, you cannot wrap in a heat intensifying material. I didn't say you're not allowed. We're analyzing it.
Okay.
So is this going to be allowed? We said before you cannot insulate even cold liquid in a material that intensifies the heat. So if it's a material that intensifies the heat,
Plastic.
like a pot that's wrapped over the fire, you're not allowed, even if it's cold food, we said you're not allowed. Now, it's in hot water. Is hot water considered a heat intensifying material?
No.
Technically, yes. Technically, yes. Halachically, no.
Baby bottles
Why?
are wrapped in something.
No, it's wrapped. It's sitting in hot water. That means it's wrapped. It's
Oh, wow, okay, now I
wrapped-
understand, it's a different. in
right. In other words, the
alcohol,
word wrap
okay.
is just an English term that we use to describe the definite the provision of insulating.
It's wrapped around hot water.
Let's start insulating. It's being insulated. It's not about towel wrapping, right? So better use the term insulated. The baby bottle is being insulated with hot water. Now, if the hot water is considered heat intensifying material, you wouldn't be allowed to do it. Is hot water heat intensifying material?
No.
Now, ironically, it's not heat intensifying material because it doesn't have its own heat. Ivanta? Hot water, החום שלה, מים חם זה לא מעצמו, זה לא בעצם. It doesn't, hot water, it doesn't have that, it's not its own heat. המים חם זה חם מדובר אחר, ועכשיו לא יש, אין אש. זה לא נקרא heat intensifying material. It's not called heat intensifying material because it doesn't have its own
The
heat.
source of heat.
Because it doesn't have its own heat. Hot
It's ready
water,
for it.
it's not its own heat. It didn't come from itself. It came from the fire. And the fire is not here anymore. So it's not in the category of a heat intensifying material. So it's equivalent to wrapping it in a towel. No problem. That's why you're allowed to do it. Now, to give you a full picture, that's not what the story ends. Okay?
Oh, okay.
There's a little more details over here. There's another more deep, yeah?
We have to put a bowl with hot water and after the baby
Again?
shower. We have to put the bowl with hot water and ולשים את baby shower.
Baby bottle.
Yeah.
וצריך מים חמים.
אבל לא מתוך הבלך, כמו
כן.
בבול.
Yeah, אם זה לא בצריך, אם זה לא אגב הבלך, מותר.
אוקיי.
But there's some information that you need to know about this. It's not just so simple. And that is, if you can't do it in a keli rishon because of bishul. There's another issue over here. You cannot cause water to cook on Shabbos, right?
Mhm.
So even though there's no hatmana, but if you're going to take the baby bottle and put it into the kli rishon where the water is very hot, and you might forget and leave it there, the water is going to cook. But that's one issue. Get it? Now, even in a kli sheni, if the water is really, really piping hot, kli sheni, we said that a kli sheni, you remember we said yam nichris, it's burning hot, that could also be an issue. Because if you forget and you leave it there, it could cook. Darling?
Yes.
So if it's burning hot in a kli sheni. Now, another thing is, there are opinions that said if the intention why you're putting it there is to actually create warmth. Not clear if I'll ever holds like that. It's more, I would say, astringency. Okay, so now I'm going to be splitting hairs over here. What I'm saying over here is that we said we allowed, okay? Let's say it's a cliche, but it's not piping hot, no problem. You could put it there. But if, now why are you putting the baby bottle there? What's the purpose?
To warm it up. The baby would drink it.
To warm it up or to take away the chill if it's too cold?
Take it until it's okay.
Take away the chill is okay to make it room temperature. But if you actually want to make it warm, I don't think it's usually the case. For the baby, you don't need it warm. You just need it to room temperature, right? So usually it's not a problem. If the intention is that you want to actually bring warmth into it, there are opinions that say it's prohibited. There are opinions. What is Al Tadeb hold? It's not clear. That doesn't talk about it. But anyways, it's not usually that's not the case for the baby. You just need it room temperature. You don't need it warm, right? You need it room temperature. Okay, 20. What's the answer for 20? Huh?
Yes,
It's a yes or no. Could you put water, hot water into thermos?
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, now we finish this. If there don't have any questions. Oh, something interesting. I was going through Halachas of Bishlan last night. I thought I would share it with you. And that is, we're not allowed to use hot water from the sink, right? Because why can't you use hot water on Shabbos from the tap? You know why?
It's just cold water.
When you say? When you take a hot water, cold water goes into the tank and you're cooking. So there can be a situation that it's permitted. And I emphasize the can be, which means I'm not telling you, go ahead. There can be, and if I'm going to give you the situation, and if it comes up, you know that there's a possibility which you have to discuss with the Rav to find out if it's actually permitted. But there can be a leniency. And that is as follows. If you live in a big building, an apartment building, and there are lots of non-Jews living in the building, there can be a leniency using hot water. I'm not saying it's permitted, I'm just saying there can be, and if it comes up and discuss with the Rav, because there could be details, how many people, what's going on, the time, I'm just explaining, just so you understand a little bit why do they say it may be okay? Why can't you use hot water? What's the reason why you can't use hot water?
It's coming from a store.
Because-
Ash fire. Because it's coming from a fire.
No, because you're putting.
What are you
water
trying to fight?
When you have a water heater, to take hot water out, the cold water is going in, which cooks the cold water going in.
Because you can't cook on.
Right, so it's take hot water, could you take hot water from an urn? Yes.
Yeah.
Why
Because
can't
the
you,
lacha is, but like, it's a broad,
so why can't it take water why can't it open up the tap and get water? Why can't it take hot water from the
yeah,
tap?
yeah.
Because I also think hot water is cooked already.
But what I understand, it falls under the category of because you can't cook on that moksa.
Because
There's so many-
automatically,
there's so many
because
things
I'm
talking
explaining, because
about.
automatically, when you take out hot water, you open up the tap, the sink to get hot water, automatically there's pressure for the hot water to come out. How does it come up? With pressure. The same pressure, what it does is automatic at the same time, it pushes cold water into the hot water tank. Hot water comes out, cold water goes in. So there should always be, and now when the cold water comes into the hot water tank, the cold water is being cooked.
Yeah, so the, I'm
Get it?
saying for the outcome that you can't cook.
Right,
It's more sensitive, you're thinking that way, it's like well, water, cold water.
right,
You know what
Right.
I'm trying to say, because
Right.
that you can't do, so there's certain things that go along with it.
right.
In my head, I need to have that in mind, because then cold water, this pot, baby, blah, blah, what is, it's.
Cooking, the bottom line is cooking,
Yes.
exactly. Right,
Be
now.
very
if-
precise.
right.
on one.
Yeah, I get it now. Now, if you're in a building with a lot of people, the chance is a very good chance that when you're taking hot water, someone else also taking hot water. Now, how much water could go back into the tank? If that person is taking hot water, and while the person's taking hot water, there's cold water going back into the tank, if follow this carefully. Now, when you take hot water, what's gonna happen? Now, there's more cold water. There's only so much water that could be pushed back into the tank at once. So it's a very good chance that you're not doing anything wrong. Yeah, but the question is, you don't know. Why is it okay? So there's this concept in halacha, it's a whole discussion that if you're doing something that's not a definite act, and it's not your intention, and you don't really care about it, it's okay. So it's a general concept, and you have to know halachically. That's what I'm saying. You can't apply it yourself. Just giving you the general picture. For example, it's brought in Shulchan Aruch, a very interesting thing, and that is, let's say you open up the cupboards. Okay, it's not gonna be a very pleasant example, but there's a bunch of flies there in the cupboard. That's a brought it. Yeah, there's a bunch of flies there. So he says over here, so now you want to close the cupboard. If you close the cupboard, you're capturing the flies. You're not allowed to capture flies, so you can't close the cupboard. But then it says if you whatever flies you see, just chase out. Then maybe there's more flies. Should I go check and see there's flies? Other things you don't have to, because being that you're not sure if there's flies or not, so it's not really called a psik. It's not a definite act because you don't know for sure it's happening. Now, it doesn't always apply in every situation. It's a very complex idea over here that it doesn't always work in every situation. Many different examples with this, and it doesn't always work the same. So therefore, over here is a similar idea. You follow what I'm saying? When you take hot water, it's possible that you're not doing anything wrong, but maybe you are, but maybe you're not. So generally you have to be careful, but not necessarily, because if it's not, there is a general rule. I'll give you another example, just you get a better picture of this. For example, the halacha is if someone has a splinter and you want to take out the splinter on Shabbos, right? So if you take out a splinter, it could cause bleeding, right? Are you allowed to cause bleeding? You're not allowed to cause bleeding. Now, what if you have someone take out the splinter for you and they know what they're doing and they're telling you, I know what I'm doing. The probability is I'm not going to cause bleeding because I know what I'm doing. But I can't tell you for sure. Maybe I will cause bleeding.
Never know.
One second. So, no, I want to bring out a point over here. So in that's actually clear halacha. That if someone is allowed to take out a splinter on Shabbos, if they know what they're doing, and there's a very good chance it's not going to bleed because they're careful. So even if it ends up bleeding, they did not transgress because it's not a definite thing. It's not for sure happening.
Not for sure, but they think like 99% of the chance it's not gonna do it.
It's not. So being that it's not for sure happening and it's not their intention,
You can't do
so
that.
it's okay. So I'm saying over here it's a little different. Over here it could be at that moment it is. It's not, but you don't know. So here it's a different category. Here it's called a suffix psikedation. In the case of the splinter, there's something called psikedation, which means we don't have time to go into all the exact. It means it's a definite act. That means you're walking outside on Shabbos and you know there's ants on the floor. You're going to step in. You're going to kill the ants. You
know
can't.
the outcome of
You
everything.
know it's not your intention. You can't do it. But when you take out the splinter, it's not for sure. It's not for sure gonna. It's not. It's
There's
not.
no control that you start stepping on ants. There's no
No.
control.
When you take out the splinter, it's not for sure that it's going to be bleeding. It's a very good chance that it won't. So that's why it's okay.
Yeah, because otherwise you can't control.
No,
what's
you're
stepping on
doing it in a
ants. Then-
way. You're
then-
doing it in a way that it's the strong probability that it's not going to
Probability.
happen. So therefore, it's not. I mean, it's not your intention. You don't care. You don't want it to happen, and it's not for sure happening. So it's okay. In the case of the hot water, it's slightly different. Over there, you have no control. Maybe at that moment, you will be causing it to cook. So that's called a suffix psikedation, that it's a doubt if it's for sure going to happen or not. And over here, you have, it's a whole discussion for itself. It's a complicated idea. I'm just giving you the basic theme over here, that if it does come up in an apartment building, that's if someone is in a situation that they need hot water, it's an important, and you know there's a lot of non-Jews living there, so there's a chance that you may get a leniency from a Rav, and he'll tell you it's okay because of the situation. Okay, stop it.
Even for me coming from like
Even if
from
what?
home, I come from home, and even for me going all this is like the way it's really difficult. Like a lot, where a lot of different little things. Because when my family keeps Shabbos and then all kosher and everything, and like that's why I remember my father was saying, okay, now you do like the third cup, like all this bleeding. I didn't really think about it. Like I was just like, why is this? Or like my mother cooking and with the blood and everything. I didn't really understand because it looked so easy.
You're saying it looks strange that they're doing it, you don't understand why they're doing it?
No, they did it. It just looks so easy. Learning about it each and everything, it's like there's so many different like little, because they're doing it. They're doing it.
Right.
No, they're doing it. They're
Right,
used to
it's
it.
just simple, right?
Yeah, they're doing it. They're not all these like.
You're saying it's getting more complicated here?
It's in every detail. It's
You see, everything has a,
like more.
right, it's not just, okay, like, just do it,
But
but
yeah,
it
you know
depends
what
the situation.
You know, so you ask the Rob and everything, but they just do it every single day. You know, they
Right,
don't be like.
right.